Hey, what's going on, guys? It's Matt, and sorry I'm a little bit late. What am I, like 8 minutes late? Sorry about that, but I'm here now again with this weird little box that I'm gonna get rid of for when I do this stream. This shouldn't. This is only for like when I play stuff on the PC. We're not playing anything on the PC right now, but welcome back to issue number 2 of Comics Daily Weekly. This is supposed to be just a once a week show, but I had such a blast last night talking about Amazing Spider-Man number 40, Daredevil number 20, and Tales of Suspense number 81. And then like a half hour intro, which I'm not going to do right now. But I had such a good time talking about all that stuff that I ran like an hour and a half and only got through 3 of the 6 comics I wanted to talk about. So tonight, I'm going to continue the next 3 with Avengers number 32, Strange Tales number 148, and Fantastic Four number 54. These are all comics from September 1966. So, quick recap. This show every week is to talk about the comics that I cover on my Twitter account, which is at Comics Daily. I'm sorry, at _ Comics Daily. I read one issue every day. 1 week covers 1 month. So last week was September 1966. The week that we're in right now, covering October 1966, which will be covered in next week's show number 3. So that's how it works. Just thought it would be cool to, tweet out some notes and stuff about these comics, but then it's fun to talk about. It's fun to have conversations about them and, identify trends and silly stuff and talk about the plots and the ongoing things that are happening. So I don't want to ramble as long as I did last night because I am recording another podcast in 50 minutes, 50 minutes. So I'm going to get started. And we're going to talk about Avengers number 32, The Sign of the Serpent. Now, in all the books that I'm reading, Avengers is probably my least favorite so far. Probably, I would say, since I started this 3 months ago. They're just not super great. The earlier issues, the team was bickering all the time, which is really sad because you had Cap and Thor and Iron Man, the big 3, you had Giant Man and Wasp, but they were always fighting all the time. And the stories were just silly. They eventually got to where they sort of formed a more cohesive team, which was great. But the stories were just silly. Eventually, all of those guys, except for Captain America, left. Actually, 16 issues ago, in number 16, they all left. Hawkeye, Quicksilver, and Scarlet Witch joined, and I was thinking, okay, great. This is a nice change of pace, even though this isn't my favorite team. It's a nice change of pace. Maybe bring in, give it a little shot in the arm. I was wrong. Those stories weren't any better. Now, Quicksilver and Scarlet Witch are off in Europe somewhere because supposedly their powers are fading. There's not a lot of explanation about that. I know there was some Quicksilver and Scarlet Witch over in X-Men. And I'm not reading X-Men right now. I just don't love those early issues, so I decided to abstain from those. So in the last few issues, we've had Captain America, Hawkeye, Goliath, and the Wasp. Goliath being Hank Pym, a.k.a. Giant Man, a.k.a. Ant-Man. And I just don't love this title. I don't love Hawkeye. I've always liked Hawkeye. I talked about it yesterday, or last episode. I really enjoy heroes with no powers because I like to see how they overcome situations that physically they shouldn't be able to overcome. What's up, Dead Meat? How's it going, man? Thanks for dropping by. And I love bow and arrow. I don't know, so Green Arrow, Hawkeye, because it's such an unconventional weapon, especially when you consider some of the situations they get themselves into. I just like that because I like seeing how no powers, a bow and arrow of all things, how do they overcome these situations? I forgot that he's deaf too. Good point, Dad. I knew that, but I keep forgetting because it's not really prominent in the books. I forgot all about that. So with all that to say, I like Hawkeye. I've always liked him. I do not like him in these early issues. He's starting to get a little bit better now where we're at with issue 32, but I don't like him in these early ones because he's always butting heads with Cap. And I know they've always had a, love-hate relationship, but not to this level. I mean, it's annoying. And especially, and I've tweeted this several times in some of the issues that I've covered, he's probably, in this early era of comics, he's probably the most inconsistently written character because almost from one panel to the next, Hawkeye, thinks I should be the leader. Captain America he's an old fossil. He shouldn't be running the team. I should do it. And then the very next panel, they'll get into a sticky situation, and Cap will be very brave and giving commands and strategizing and all this. And then Hawkeye will think, wow, maybe I'm too hard on him. He really is a living legend. He really is as great as they say. And then the next panel, Cap will say, Hawkeye, do this. And Hawkeye will say, don't give me orders, you old man. And in this era, 1966, Captain America was only frozen on ice for 20 years. So 1945, end of World War II, and then shown up again in 1965, 64, I think. But regardless, it was right at 20 years, whereas in the movies, they said, Cap, you've been asleep for 70 years, which made sense because of the timeline. But back then, it was only 20 years. So Hawkeye's always referring to Cap as an old man, grandpa, and all that stuff. But really, he's probably only around 20 years older than Hawkeye anyway. That's why his vision is so good, because he's deaf. I don't know. But that's a great point, Dead Meat, because that's why I've been reading these. Because that's why I've been reading this in the way that I've been reading them. Because like I said last episode, I want to experience these comics as they came out. So if I was a kid in September of 1966, I would have bought Avengers and Spider-Man and Fantastic Four and whatever else. And I want to experience these books as they came out. That's why I'm sticking to 1 month at a time. And I want to see these characters develop. So Hawkeye's been in 16 issues of Avengers and several issues of Tales of Suspense, which is where he first appeared. And him being deaf has never been brought up yet. So I'm excited to get to that point and see, because I've never really read a lot of those older stories. So I'm excited to see how they develop that and how they address it. Avengers comic with She-Hulk and Sandman. Yeah, that's probably way later, because like She-Hulk hasn't even been around. I don't think she even shows up till like the 70s, which will be it'll be next year before I hit the 1970s. Which 1970s is going to be cool, because that's basically 1970 is considered the start of the Bronze Age of comics. Right now we're still in the Silver Age, being in the 60s. The Bronze Age starts in the 70s, and that's when Marvel Comics gets really good. So a lot of the story beats they take for the movies are taken from the Bronze Age, the 70s era of comics. Well, it's not all of them. The Winter Soldier thing obviously was from the mid-2000s, the Ed Brubaker stuff. But, a lot of the stuff comes from these 70s era, and the 70s are really good. So I cannot wait till next year till we get there. But right now, 1966. So Avengers number 32. Now, this issue was okay because, oops, hang on one second. There we get that right. Okay. So this issue was pretty neat because the Avengers kind of took on a group that they haven't really taken on before. A group called the Sons of the Serpent, which I don't know if they're supposed to be the same thing as the Serpent Society, which is another mysterious group of bad guys, just like AIM and Hydra and, anybody else you can think of. So, leading up to this story, Goliath is stuck at 10 feet tall. There was this arbitrary thing. I love the arbitrary hero limitations in comics, where, for example, Hank Pym / Giant Man / Ant-Man left the team. He finally comes back, and I didn't follow his stories in Tales to Astonish, but when he came back, he could only grow to 25 feet. He could only stay that size for 15 minutes. and he had to shrink down again slowly. I'm trying to even remember. It was so silly because otherwise the cells in his body couldn't handle the change. So, and this was a few issues ago, but he ended up getting stuck. He went to 25 feet. He stayed there for too long, shrank back down, but he got stuck at 10 feet tall. So poor Hank Pym has been stuck at 10 feet tall. Sorry, I'm trying to get my notes up for this one. And so that's been a big story point for the last few issues. And so he's been sort of pouting. I don't, I can think of worse things than being 10 feet tall. Here we go. I got it. So he's been trying to find ways, couldn't find it. He hasn't been able to successfully do it yet. So this issue introduces Bill Foster, which will later become Goliath 2, Goliath, but the second iteration of Goliath. And he shows up here somewhere. So these first few pages are just Goliath and Cap jawing at each other. Cap is actually trying to sort of snap him out of his funk that he's in. So Cap is purposely antagonizing him so that he, like I said, so that he snaps out of it and, starts moving, starts realizing that it's not such a disadvantage. Time of this, anything do... no, not really. That's a good question about the timing. You mean the timing of me doing this show? About have anything to do with DC fandom? Oh, right. Yeah. So, no. So, I've been running this Twitter account right here. I've been running this since May 20th. So, for the last 3 months, I've been tweeting about these old Marvel comics every single day. And for a while, probably back in July, I said, you know what? I want to start doing like a show about it. Maybe eventually put it on YouTube. Maybe eventually make it available as an audio podcast. None of that, I'm not there yet. I don't even know how good I am at doing this by myself, and obviously it's a very niche thing, so only people who are interested in comics are probably going to watch, and especially old comics like this. I love these old comics. Well, some of them are tough to get through, but no, I've been planning this for about a month, and I did it on August 23rd because I was reading Spider-Man every day and then decided to back off that and read some other ones. And I finally got the publication dates all lined up. And then I did that on the 16th, I think, was the first time I finally got them all synced up. And then I needed to have a week's worth of comics after that. So I went way nerdy in planning all this. I've got a Google spreadsheet that tells me every comic I'm reading all the way to the end of 2022. Exactly what day, what issue of what title I'm reading on what day. Because I'm a nerd like that. But yeah, I've been planning this for like a month, and I had that August 23rd date. I think I had that planned before I even knew about DC Fandom, which was fantastic, and we're going to talk about it in 40 minutes on episode 3 of the Anything New podcast that I'm doing with Opie and Pete. But good question, yeah. But yeah, so anyway, in this issue right now, Cap and Goliath are just going at each other. Cap is trying to get Goliath to, get over it, basically. And I thought this was a little weird. Jan is Goliath's... I can't remember... Are they married? No, they're not married, but they're together. But yet, Jan slaps a big old kiss on Captain America. I do wonder if this is going to happen again, if this is going to come up again later. I'm not sure. But so, down here on this page, we get introduced to a group called the Sons of the Serpent. I don't remember where... Oh, there it is, right there. Enough talk, you must be taught what it means to defy the Sons of the Serpent. So the reason I say that this group is unlike really any of the Avengers have faced thus far is because this is essentially a hate group. They don't really get into the specifics of race or anything like that, but they do, they're beating up on this guy because he wasn't born here. I don't really know. Obviously, this is just a side character. But the gist is, this is a hate group, and they don't like anything. They don't like anyone who isn't like them, basically, who didn't grow up where they grew up or who doesn't look like what they look like. That kind of thing. So that's the group's MO. And the Avengers before now have typically taken on like groups of bad guys, like superpowered bad guys for the most part. So this is a little bit different for them. And it's a little bit different for us to read as viewers or as readers. And this comes into play when Hank Pym gets a new partner, Bill Foster, who's an African American. He's a scientist. He's going to help Hank shrink back down to normal size. So what was also cool about this, as you can see on this page, is this is the first time since Hank came back to the Avengers and got stuck in his 10-foot form. This is the first time that he's not wearing his costume. So I guess he finally found normal size clothes, which is, I kind of thought, why is he wearing his costume all the time? Then I thought, oh, actually, it kind of makes sense that that he would stay in his costume, because where else is he going to get clothes that big? So, and so this issue was weird too, because there was a lot going on, and I made a note of it. I tweeted this here. So there's a lot going on. The introduction of the Sons of the Serpent, Bill Foster helping Hank with his size issue, Black Widow's brief return. So Black Widow has been showing up in Tales of Suspense and also Avengers, and she's been a bad guy, right? But now she's trying to turn over a new leaf. Her and Hawkeye are involved, and that's what this little bit right here is about. She wants, even though she crashes through Hawkeye's window so that she can tell him that she is trying to do better, right? But this only lasts for, this only like, I think this page, yeah, that's the only page that she shows up in. So she shows up for a minute. I guess more to come on that later. Wanda and Pietro are trying to get their powers back on, hold on, I'm flipping back and forth between pages. This page, it was just a little bizarre because they've gone back to, I think they went back to Wundagore Mountain where they originated from, and they're trying to get their powers back, and they think being there is going to help them. This guy, let's see, let me try, there we go. This guy is experimenting on them to try to help them get their powers back, but then Quicksilver, it's weird because Quicksilver mentions that how do you know where Quicksilver and the Scarlet Witch? Well, why else would they be there? It doesn't. This whole page didn't make any sense to me. But I digress. Most of the story is about this hate group, the Sons of the Serpent. So let's go back a couple pages. So here you can see Hank Pym in the lab. Here's Bill Foster right here, helping him out. Also, what's weird about this is that Bill Foster refers to him as Hank Pym, Mr. Pym. I didn't know that their identities were revealed. What's up, Dan? You played bass for Sons of the Serpent? So I didn't know that Hank Pym's identity was revealed, because in these early issues, even the Avengers don't know the identity of everybody else, so nobody knows that Tony Stark is Iron Man. Nobody knows that Thor is Don Blake. I think they do know about Steve Rogers. Hank and Janet Van Dyne just revealed their identities to Cap and Hawkeye, I think Quicksilver and Scarlet Witch, just a few issues ago. So it's weird that they're a group, but they don't know. Eventually that goes away, and I guess that's just how it was back in the days. The writers thought, Stan Lee and everybody thought, oh, well, they're superheroes, they have to have secret identities, which they don't. So anyway, I don't know if that's out the window now or not, but it is what it is. So they're in the lab. So, again, Bill Foster is an African American, and this group, the Sons of the Serpent, they attack him for that reason. Let's see. So this is it right here. He got what he deserved. He refused to swear never to set foot in this neighborhood again. Let me actually zoom this way so we can see the whole thing. So this enrages Goliath, rightfully so. That's not a cool thing to do, Sons of the Serpent. You guys shouldn't be hate mongers like that. And sorry, it's kind of tough to navigate through these pages in a browser. So basically, Goliath brings this to the Avengers' attention and says, hey, we got to do something like this. Jan says, is this really a job for the Avengers? Can't the local police cope with a few bullies like the Serpents? But Cap says, no, we got to, we got to do this. Cap then goes to S.H.I.E.L.D. to get more information about these guys, and there's a whole sequence here about him going into, and we saw this set up over in Strange Tales. Cap goes to the secret barbershop where it's kind of like one of the secret entrances. It's kind of like a secret storefront to S.H.I.E.L.D. And, he goes there to get information from Nick Fury. It's kind of, I thought this was weird because it's like they didn't especially Nick Fury didn't recognize that Steve Rogers was Captain America. This whole sequence was weird. There's a lot of weirdness in these whole books. But yeah, Cap's basically getting information about the Sons of the Serpent from Nick Fury and S.H.I.E.L.D. Fury tells him that, yeah, we've been collecting a bunch of information on these guys. And I'll let you stay and study our files for a few minutes. And we'd love the help of the Avengers. So that's where, let's see, I read this a few days ago. So there's a big press conference. The Avengers said, we're going to take on these guys. Obviously, the Sons of the Serpent see this. They attack the Avengers. In a really weird, bizarre, perfectly 60s story of they get kidnapped, taken to a secret base. Cap fakes them out, tries to take them down. Some good action here. But this was basically just, Avengers versus the Sons of the Serpent. And I was trying to remember even where it left off. So Cap gets captured, that's right. And we're left on a cliffhanger. In the most startling turnabout of the... Oh, that's right. That's right. I forgot about this part. I'm sorry. I read so many every week. It's tough to remember. The Sons of the Serpent... Let's see. It got interesting because the Avengers haven't fought a group like this for... let's see. Oh, I didn't make a note about this. Basically, the Sons of the Serpent want the Avengers to fight or to work with them, and the Avengers say, okay, we're going to pretend like we are. We're going to pretend like we're not going to stop them and their hate-mongering, and that's kind of where we leave off. There's a big news broadcast here in the last panel about the Avengers say they're not going to stop the Sons of the Serpent, and that's where we left off. So I guess we'll figure out what happens from there. But again, this issue I thought was pretty okay because... the Sons of the Serpent are just, they're different. It's a hate group, basically. Now they have fancy technological weapons, and so we'll see how that goes. But there we are. So let's move on to Strange Tales number 148. Now, with this book, I'm only reading the Nick Fury Agent of S.H.I.E.L.D. portion of it, because this title is a twofer. It's like 10 pages or so of Nick Fury and 10 pages or so of Doctor Strange. And I don't really want to... I just didn't really want to read the old Doctor Strange stuff. I can't really get into all that stuff too much. But this issue was weird because it felt like they left 2 pages out when this first started. Let me grab my notes here. Number 148. So when we start, Nick Fury is interrogating some AIM operatives. And I guess there was an explosion, and everybody thinks that he's gonna die. But the thing is, like, this looks like this picked up from last issue, right? It didn't. Last issue didn't end like this. All of a sudden, Nick Fury is walking out of an explosion where he was interrogating some AIM agents. So where we're at in this story is that AIM, Advanced Idea Mechanics, who now everybody knows them as like a... not a terrorist group, but like another group of bad guys, just like Hydra or anything else. In back here, though, AIM wasn't AIM. The group AIM, which traditionally are the guys in the yellow with the big yellow beekeeping helmets, or however you want to refer to it, they're actually a group known as them, and it's really weird typing them. Like, my note says, what is them really up to? That sounds weird, I know. But the group is known as them, and then Advanced Idea Mechanics is another group, but most people in the book don't know that AIM and them are working together. And I guess back in the day, readers didn't know that at first either. Like, that was a reveal, which it was pretty telegraphed anyway. But that's how that is. So AIM and them are working together. Them is eventually just going to become AIM. But right now, AIM is Advanced Idea Mechanics, which is supposedly a legitimate group. And there's a guy named Count Royale, who is the head of AIM. And he's all butthurt because he went to visit... Well, obviously he wants to take down S.H.I.E.L.D., but he's playing like he's butthurt because when he went to visit S.H.I.E.L.D. and Nick Fury, S.H.I.E.L.D. took away a gadget that he had on him that he was there to give a demonstration about. But standard operating procedure. Just think about going to see the president now, and you had some weird device on you, like a device that was actually a miniature recreation of a bomb. The Secret Service is going to beat you half to death and take that thing away, right? And that's more or less what happened, I think, an issue or two ago. So that's why this guy is all butthurt. So he wants to take Nick Fury to court to prove that Nick Fury is a bit of a wild card and that he's unfit to be the director of S.H.I.E.L.D. because Nick Fury, he's a soldier. So, you've heard of Nick Fury, Sergeant Fury in the Howling Commandos. From World War II, Nick Fury is a soldier. He's a crazy soldier. Yeah, they'll just shoot you. Well, exactly. They didn't even shoot the guy. They just said, "Sir, you can't have this device. It's a security matter." And I can't believe you. I'll have you. I'll have your head. So, all that to say, at the beginning of this issue, it looked like we're supposed to assume that Fury was caught in explosion, interrogating some AIM operatives. Lo and behold, it actually wasn't Fury. It was a LMD, a life model decoy. So we've been introduced to life model decoys. Basic, perfect copies, physically, on the outward appearance of people. So Nick Fury, and that's a recurring thing throughout decades of Marvel Comics, is these life model decoys, and especially Nick Fury has a lot of life model decoys. And every time you think Nick Fury's dead, and it's going to happen a lot between 1966 and whatever, like 2000, whenever his last appearance was that we've seen, like, was it like 2012, something like that, whenever Original Sin was out. Every time you think he's dead, oh, it's an LMD. So he's got like a gazillion lives. Like, nobody even knows where the real Nick Fury is because he has so many LMDs. Let's see, let's page through. Now, them or AIM, like I said, they're basically interchangeable. They also have their own way of creating artificial men, but they aren't as advanced as the LMDs. So AIM wants that technology. Meanwhile, this Count Royale, this is funny. Nick Fury is so fun to read in these books because he's so gruff and aggressive. He's so, you might have like one of the characters, Jasper Sitwell, who is way different than from the movies, or Dum Dum Dugan, which we saw in Captain America: The First Avenger, who Neil McDonough did a great job playing Dum Dum. We did not get enough Dum Dum Dugan in the first Captain America movie because he's an awesome character. But Dum Dum Dugan is like his closest pal, right? Dum Dum could say, "Hey, Nick, good morning." And Nick Fury would always say something like, "What are you wishing me good morning for, you scruffy-faced nerf herder?" I don't know, Star Wars reference, but, suck in that gut, fella. Strap on your gear. You better be ready. Like, he's always, like, he's never happy. He's always yelling and barking orders at everybody. Nothing, but except when he's by himself, he thinks, "Wow, what a good soldier that is." But, on the outwardly, he's always yelling at everybody. So, and that's what's going on here. They blast him with some kind of X-ray gun so that they can see that he's really him. So Nick Fury is, I thought this was weird. So this is Jasper Sitwell right here. Let me, wait a minute. Well, that's okay. This is fine. So this blonde guy is Jasper Sitwell. and he just popped up a few issues ago. He's a good young Shield agent, but he's kind of a kiss ass a little bit. He's really smart. He's good with gadgets. I guess he's pretty decent in combat. But I put one of my notes to his, and I copied this panel on the right. I said we've got a stage 5 clinger because he just shows up everywhere, no matter where Nick Fury turns around. Sitwell is right there, ready to go. What do you need, sir? I'm here to help, sir. I have an idea for that, sir. So he pops up in Nick Fury's office. How'd you get in here without getting shot? Well, I came through that hole in the ceiling that I burned. I burned a hole in your ceiling so that I could get close to you. And he says it's in the name of security. Jasper Sitwell is funny in these books. Oh, hang on. I'm having trouble. There we go. But the gist of this book is, and there wasn't a whole lot that happened in this issue. There's a setup for this. So it's a big deal that Nick Fury is going on trial to prove that he is worthy, I guess, of being director of S.H.I.E.L.D. And then meanwhile, while he's doing that, here is AIM/them. I can't wait till the them name is dropped because it makes things confusing. So meanwhile, sorry guys, I'll switch that back. So meanwhile, AIM is attacking the S.H.I.E.L.D. helicarrier, while Nick Fury is on trial. And I made a note of this sequence right here. This was funny. So, wow, why is the browser... There we go. I guess the browser doesn't like all these multiple scenes. Here we go. Nick Fury is on trial to prove that he isn't a wild card and that he is worthy of running S.H.I.E.L.D. But during the trial, he attacks the guards and then he jumps out a window. So I just love that 4-panel sequence there. I'm not crazy. I am capable of doing this. Now, get your hands off me. I'm going to jump out the window. But he knows that something's afoot. And he's trying to get back to S.H.I.E.L.D. to stop AIM. So not a lot happened in this issue. This is a setup for, I think, a big showdown to come. The guided view on this is off. Sorry, guys. He's got a parachute in his belt, as you do. And he tells Dum Dum, he meets Dum Dum. He says, let's get going. So basically at the end, Dum Dum, you're right on time. You finally did something right, you old goat. Even though Dum Dum is like loyal to a fault. What's up, Opie? How's it going, man? Cut loose from that rigging, Nick. We just got word from S.H.I.E.L.D. HQ. Our guests from AIM have arrived as expected. Yeah, they don't expect to be greeted by the head of the house. So basically, so the guy, Count Royale, the head of AIM, basically staged a big fuss to... And it's weird, too, because AIM is a big corporation, so they're portraying it as, because we're such a big corporation, we can throw our weight around. We can sort of dictate to S.H.I.E.L.D. who we think should be in charge, which I know it's so unheard of for big corporations to dictate what the government does, right? That's so far-fetched, I know. But all that, it's all that to preoccupy Nick Fury by being put on trial. All the while, AIM is going to attack S.H.I.E.L.D. To get a hold of their LMD technology, I believe is where this is going, because I actually read Tales of Suspense number 82 today, which we'll talk about next week. And in it, it talks about how AIM did get a hold of it, and they were able to create the Adaptoid, which is a shapeshifter, and we'll get to that next week. So anyway, that's where we're at. AIM is attacking S.H.I.E.L.D. Nick Fury and Dum Dum are going to go stop them. So that was pretty cool. This, like I said, this was a setup for the next issue. And then the last issue that we're going to talk about with our remaining 18 minutes is Fantastic Four number 54. So I kind of wish I had started this show a little earlier, because we just barely missed the first appearance of the Silver Surfer and Galactus, where a few issues past the first appearance of the Inhumans. And we also just barely missed the first appearance of Black Panther. So between issue like 40, the 40s, like issue 40 to 50 of Fantastic Four, and then like 52 to 53. So basically like 40 to 52 or 53. Like that 12 or 13 issue arc is huge for the Marvel Universe because, like I said, you get the first appearance of the Inhumans. Medusa, well, except for Medusa, she popped up with the Frightful Four, which were actually pretty cool. Her and Paste Pot Pete, or the Trapster, the Wizard, and Sandman. So she popped up with those guys, and we didn't know really who she was at the time. But then her Inhuman origins get revealed. So we get her, Black Bolt, Triton, Crystal, Kraken. I always forget his name. Kraken. Released? No, it's not Kraken. Shoot, I don't remember. I always mess up on his name. And Gorgon. It's not Kraken. It's Karek. I hate that I forgot that. Anyway, we get their first appearance. Then we get the first appearance of Silver Surfer and Galactus. And that 2-issue thing, 49 to 50, were really cool. Or 48, 49, I believe. And then we get the first appearance of Black Panther, Wakanda, Vibranium, all that stuff. So what's really annoying, though, with this little era of Fantastic Four is that Johnny Storm is super in love with Crystal, who is on the right-hand side. And if I ever release this as audio, sorry you can't see it. But on the right-hand side, she's the sort of blondish redhead girl in the middle. That's Crystal. She has elemental powers. She's one of the Inhumans. Right before... a few issues ago, right before the Black Panther showed up, the Inhumans got trapped in this giant impenetrable dome. And no, they can't get out. Fantastic Four can't get in. Johnny Storm is madly in love with Crystal, and he has been pouting for issues and issues. I need to get to Crystal. I'm in love with Crystal. I've got to see Crystal again. I can't function without Crystal. He only met Crystal a few issues ago. And I made a note of it. Their total interaction time within the last... let's see if I've got it here. Maybe I don't. Maybe it was the issue before this. Their only interaction time in the entire few issues that they've known each other, if you look at how often they interact with each other, they probably physically interacted for about 5 hours total. Literally. But yet, they're both madly in love with each other because Crystal's stuck inside the dome. She says, I've got to get to Johnny. I need Johnny. I can't live without Johnny. And Johnny says the same thing about her. They barely know each other. Anyway, so that's been I get hung up on stuff like that, but that's been bothering me. Whoop. And let me get out of this. This actually kind of starts off, they're in Wakanda still. The Fantastic Four are in Wakanda because we wrapped up a story where we were introduced to Black Panther. He attacked the Fantastic Four, but as a way to test himself because he says the Fantastic Four are the greatest team and he wants to see if he can beat them. They're all buddies now. They're in Wakanda. Johnny's buddy Wyatt Wingfoot is with him. And this issue kind of starts out like an early 90s issue of X-Men where you constantly saw them playing baseball or swimming or volleyball or something like that. Or like a Brian Michael Bendis, where the heroes are doing other things other than heroing. So this was kind of fun. They're just playing baseball. The Thing's gonna, obviously he's gonna pitch the ball real hard because he's super strong. Mr. Fantastic can catch the ball because he's stretchy. But anyway, they're playing baseball. They're having a good time. They're having a big festival. Everything's great. But while everybody is enjoying everything, here we see Johnny. Let's see, the guided view. Come on, here we go. Johnny's brooding. He really must, I wonder why it doesn't know about Crystal. I wonder what's wrong, and Johnny's all dejected. So anyway, shoot, I keep taking it out of full screen, sorry. See, here, I keep hearing her voice. The nights are the hardest. I keep hearing her voice in my brain, whispering, pleading, calling to me. Johnny, where are you? I'll never stop waiting for you, my Johnny. Again, they've known each other physically for 5 hours. Drives me crazy. But what are you gonna do? So here's the dome that they're stuck in. This happened a few issues ago. It's an impenetrable dome. Black Bolt's brother Maximus, who's like an evil genius, he did it because he thought that the Inhumans should take over the world because they're the next evolution of humans. And we'll get to those origins. You know, the Kree thousands of years ago experimented on humans. Created the Inhumans and the Terrigen Mist. Nobody knows that they're inhuman until they're exposed to the Terrigen Mist, which they hasn't delved too much into that yet. That's probably that won't come till later. But so the Inhumans in this issue are basically just hanging out, trying to get out of the dome. Maximus is a pretty evil. He's an evil genius, like I said. He's not a great guy, but he's creating inventions. He's helping Triton. Who think of Triton as like an undersea dweller. Think of Triton as Abe Sapien from Hellboy. He needs to stay underwater to live. That kind of stuff. He's helping Triton be able to live in the surface world by putting water into his veins. That kind of stuff. So anyway, the Fantastic Four are done in Wakanda, and they're going to leave. And they decide to go their separate ways for a little while. So Reed and Sue, in Fantastic Four Annual number 3, I believe it was, they got married. And they never really went on their honeymoon. So they're going to go off on their honeymoon. Ben is he's really wanting to go back to New York to be with Alicia Masters, his girlfriend. And Johnny's got to find Crystal because he loves her so much. In the 5 hours that he's known her, he loves her. He's got to get to her. So Black Panther, T'Challa, he's given them all this. He's given the Fantastic Four all this stuff because he's super rich. Wakanda is a super rich nation. He's giving them all gifts. He gives Johnny a giant hamster ball. Wait a minute. Let me get out of this again. Let me zoom in this way. He gives Johnny a giant hamster ball. And basically, it's a vehicle that can traverse any terrain. And it's gyroscopes. Think about the I can't remember the name of it, but like the ball robot, or like BB-8 from Star Wars. Think of it that way, or the robots you can control with your phone, and the thing always stays upright. It's one of those things. So he just gives it to him. He gives it to Johnny, and says, "This will help you get to the dome." The Inhumans dome, and I can't remember where it is, but it's in some secluded place. And so Johnny and Wyatt are going to go save Crystal. Even though nothing can penetrate that dome, Johnny said, I've got to at least try to go burn it. That's sure, whatever. That's going to help. They go through the sandstorm. They actually fall into... they fell in the pit. They literally fell in the pit. Into a pit. And they find this weird guy named Prester John, who looks like Dum Dum Dugan with a BDSM mask. That's what Prester John looks like. And Prester John is basically... Well, he says, "And long have I traveled the world, seeking to unravel the mysteries of mankind. That is why men have called me the Wanderer." So he's been alive for a long time. Says, "There was a land of Avalon, for my eyes have seen it. It was..." Oh, wait a minute. What was his origin? I'm really bad at this. This is where I have to get better, because I can't remember from several days ago. But basically, this guy's been around for centuries, right? And he talks about all the cool things he's seen. The pyramids. He talks about a magical land with flying carpets. He's seen all kinds of stuff, right? Well, he has this weapon that, what does he call it? The Evil Eye is what he calls it. And Johnny's threatened by it, attacks Prester John. Prester John actually uses this Evil Eye weapon to create an impenetrable dome around Wyatt and Johnny. They talk him out of it. We get back to more Inhumans tomfoolery. But again, they're trying to get out of they're researching their own ways to get out of this dome that they're stuck in. Impenetrable dome. Nothing can break it, right? Karnak. That's the other guy. That's the guy, not Kraken, Karnak. Jeez Louise, I'm sorry. Karnak. Anyway, they're trying to get out of the dome. They're trying their own way, right? So back to Prester John and Johnny and Wyatt. My bad, guys. We're all good. We're all friends here. Johnny realizes that, wait a second, this evil eye created an impenetrable dome around us the same way that the Inhumans are entrapped in an impenetrable dome. Prester, I need this to help the girl that I'm super in love with that I've known for 5 hours. Prester says no, you can't have it. So Johnny burns him, right? He burns his hand. Give me that. No one's going to stop me. I've got a free crystal. Because don't forget, I've known her for 5 hours, and she's my whole life, right? Johnny flies off with the weapon, but Prester says, no, he can't do that. I forgot to put on the safety. I forgot to press the safety button, and without the safety button, it's going to blow up, and Johnny's going to die if we don't press the safety button. Meanwhile, the Inhumans, the Inhumans, they are putting Black Bolt into this chamber that's going to magnify his power. Black Bolt's very, very powerful. They haven't really talked about his... So Black Bolt is super strong, but Black Bolt can't talk. For if he talks, if he merely even whispers, anything like this, if he even like that, his voice can bring down mountains if he even so much as whispers. But they haven't talked about that. So he's been around for a few issues now. I thought that was like going to be the number one thing they mentioned about Black Bolt. So I'm a little confused there. Again, I haven't read a lot of these older issues, so maybe he doesn't have it yet. I don't know. What should we do? So I wonder if it has something to do with this here, because Black Bolt is screaming. He's making a sound. He's screaming. Maybe this is where it comes from. I'm not sure. He's in this machine. He's trying to crack the dome. Maybe this is where it comes from. Anyway, Johnny is flying to the dome. Wyatt and Prester John are giving chase in their hamster ball. And Wyatt shoots it out of Johnny's hand just in the nick of time, because as soon as it gets knocked out, it explodes. Big mushroom cloud. Like an actual A-bomb, they say. And Johnny gets all pissed, but, obviously he's grateful because it saved his life. But basically, the evil eye, the one thing, supposedly, that could have cracked this dome is destroyed. So, now what? So that's where we're left off. So this says next issue, The Thing battles the Silver Surfer, which is going to be cool. I wonder what brings him back. We last saw him with Galactus. I don't know what's going to bring him back. So it's pretty cool. I do want to see how the Inhumans get out of this dome. Obviously they do. I don't know how they do it. I haven't read these. But there you go. So the Fantastic Four. So like I said yesterday, the Fantastic Four, Daredevil, and Amazing Spider-Man are my 3 favorites of the 6 titles that I'm reading right now. Excuse me. Probably Amazing Spider-Man first is my favorite, and then Daredevil and Fantastic Four tied for second. And there you have it. So what'll happen with the dome? I don't know. We'll see. We'll cover it next week. So guys, I'm going to go because in a few minutes I'm going to record the next episode of Anything New with my buddies Opie and Pete. Let me double check, see if we're on. Okay, not yet. But I've already read Amazing Spider-Man number 40, or 41, and Tales of Suspense number 82. I read that today. So I'm, reading the next issue of each one of these titles this week. So next Sunday night, which is August 30th, I'm going to be doing the next episode of Comics Daily Weekly, and we'll cover everything that I talked about we'll cover everything that I read this week. And it'll be fun. So I appreciate you guys hanging out. If you want to keep up with these comics as I read them, just follow this Twitter account right here @_Comics Daily, all one word. I hate that the underscore is there, but everything else was taken. So @_Comics Daily on Twitter, and you can see more like detailed notes, funny things that like I said, I keep track of the number of times each issue uses the word fella, and the record is 6 so far. And I have a feeling that that's going to be the record, because as we get later into the years, 66, 67, I think that phrase is going to go away. But yeah, just musings about different silly things that I don't have time to mention in this show. But yeah, follow that, and you can keep track of all this stuff. So I appreciate it, guys. And until next week, I will see you later. Bye bye.